Brother Lono. Blessings, my king. Blessings, my king. How are you doing, yo?
Good, man. Very good. Very
Oh,
good.
so good to see you here, man.
Yeah,
How are you keeping up?
Yeah, we hanging in there. I got two of my kids with me, two of my sons, and we down here in Miami. And the weather's beautiful, sunny. I live on the beach, so that part is good,
It's a plus, yeah. No doubt.
But obviously, the circumstances are not as ideal, for the world we live in right now. So,
Nah, for sure,
it makes it a bit melancholy. It's hard for me to enjoy it thoroughly because there are people that are not as fortunate as I am. Obviously, those that are not as healthy, and those that have, lost loved ones and things like that.
Yeah.
That makes it, that keeps the reality check real,
Oh yeah, it does. It's you're right. It's very real. It's very real.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a sense of centering that comes into play within these times. I guess that
no doubt
pushes us to really, meditate upon, as you just say, the essential.
Right, 100%. And ironically, we had no way of anticipating, what to do and how to react going in. But looking back, I've, come into some self-realizations that otherwise probably wouldn't have occurred. So, that's a positive. I've been, I changed my eating habits. I've been exercising, riding a bike. I'm probably healthier than I've been probably in my life. And, I'm getting up there in years. So to be at this stage in my life.
No, man, really?
Trust me, man.
Brother, you look 40, man. You look 40.
I'm almost a senior citizen. Seriously.
Oh, my God. Well, brother, if anything, you're giving inspiration for the so-called senior citizen, and it clearly shows that age ain't nothing but a damn number.
100%. But on a positive note, I got a chance to listen to your new track, and I have to say, first and foremost, I was quite surprised. I don't, it's unfair to put anybody in a box. I'm so used to your house stuff that I love and adore and have always been, a huge fan of. To hear you go in a different direction and effectively kill it like you did, I got to salute you, bro. It was strong.
Salute you, my big brother.
Very strong, very strong.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I'm curious, how did that even come about? Like, what's the process, and where did that come from? Why? What? Tell me the story.
Well, so Buddy and we're big fans of sartorial ways, and we are big sartors lovers, and we worked together since the first on a track called Integration at the very beginning. Couple of years ago, which was all about, we worked with Defustel, who was also a designer, Cameroonian designer. Then we did Kitendi with Art Comes First with Sam and Shaka, who directed and styled with Marché Noir, the video. And then in between that video and Virgil Abloh, we had Moi Senegal with Keisha and Badi, which was a little bit more of a mainstream appeal in the sense of the looks and the visual sort of like we used a lot of the urban feel as far as the girls by the pool, the drinks and this and that again. So Virgil Abloh came when Buddy was here visiting me in Portugal, as we were actually working on the video for the song we did with Keisha. And the idea was to tap on the concept of, first of all, honoring our legends as they're still alive. Because we felt like, we have a lot of contemporary legends, people who are doing a lot of great things, such as yourself, who needs to be honored and truly put in the forefront of the conversation, was not just conversations and interviews and that, but etc. But we felt like a song just to anchor that moment was very important. And also we wanted to stick our fingers in the eyes of a couple of people who, pretend to be so driven on the whole, like, we got to be united, we got to be this, we got to be that. But then when it comes down to the thick of it, everybody's to their own,
Right. Well, let me say this. The reason why I think it caught me off guard, and I was pleasantly surprised to hear, you expanding your, your creative reach, which is amazing. I'm very impressed with that. But also the fact, and the artist, what's his name, Bodie? No.
Badi, B-A-D-I, yeah.
Yeah, where's he from?
He's from Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo.
Got it, yeah. No, I mean, he nailed it. I mean, I thought the track, definitely, it hit real hard. But the fact, touching on the point that you all decided to honor Virgil, I don't know if you know, but I'm from Chicago originally. And, I was part of the whole origin of the house music scene when things were coming together, and all of that sort of that generation after me, be it Twilight Tone, Virgil, Kanye, Common, they all a little bit younger than me, but they don't always get, in my opinion, or we don't always get, in my opinion, the recognition or the notice that what we do is relevant and significant, and we have a voice. Now, let me just for a moment touch on Chicago and a place that I'm very proud to be from. Quincy Jones is from Chicago. The Art Ensemble of Chicago, Earth, Wind and Fire. The list goes on. Minnie Riperton. The list goes on and on and on of music that influenced us and carried us to where we are now in terms of music. But it never gets talked about collectively that Chicago actually has born and bred
a lot of talents, international.
Yeah, but also that can be recognized on a national platform, international platform, which I don't believe we really get collectively. And for Virgil to be where he is now, running one of the top houses in all of fashion, and to be a man of color, an African, but also reared and developed a lot of what made him what he is today. Chicago had a lot to do with that. So I'm proud of him for his accomplishment. And I don't think he really gets the proper recognition, especially from us, from the people who, there's a lot of division and divisiveness that occurs in the African community, African-American community more so. Where we are, I don't see it so much in Europe. I see when I'm in Paris or I'm in Italy or in England, everybody's like, big up. But over here, it's all divided. It's all chopped up. And Virgil never gets really talked about in these positive conversations, like him or not, like what he does or not. He's somewhere many have never been. And so I think what you've done is put that in a time capsule. 25 years from now, we can listen to that song and, regardless of whatever happens, that you can't change what Virgil has done, where he is. And that's why I like what you did with that record.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. And I appreciate your co-sign on this because it means 100%. A lot since, brother, I recall stunning conversations that we've had together about you sharing this era where you actually were with, the Keith Haring to Basquiat and all, that whole era. You witnessed that. You witnessed the greatness and these, I would say, forefathers of what we are seeing now, and we're able to do what we do as a result of their contribution and their sacrifices as well.
Absolutely. And also, too, I think, people like Basquiat and, like Future, a lot of the guys that I was able to, come into contact with in the 80s in New York. I left Chicago in the 80s and moved to New York and happened to fall right in the middle of that scene without even knowledge or a preconceived concept of where I was, I just knew I was going to look for something that I wasn't finding in Chicago, and ultimately was looking to go around the world. But New York changed my life, and it's funny you touch on that specific era. What they did was set a standard. Like my brother Ron Trent, he and I have had endless conversations. He was very influenced by that, and he set a standard for a lot of what people are doing in dance music, not only from Chicago but globally. But he pays attention to that, and that's one of the reasons why he and I connected, is because he had a zeal and a fondness for that particular period. And again, like you said, where we are now and what we're doing now, what we're able to accomplish, it's being looked upon or judged, rated on that level.
Yes,
it's
sir.
a high standard to and let me just say, I pursue creative endeavors, to a great deal. But working on a couple of records, during this quarantine, some I'm happy with. But it's people like yourself and Oshunlade and Louis Vega and Jeff Mills and all these guys that really influenced me, that inspire me, that I think are absolutely incredible. I mean, you guys are giants. Like the people I came into contact with in the 80s in the art world and the fashion world were giants that only allowed me a space to create and to express myself regardless on what level. I may not get to the level you are on in terms of my musical endeavors, but by the same token, I'm proud of the things that I have accomplished, in the fashion world and in my life, and I hope that serves as somewhat of a line of inspiration for cats that's coming behind us, that's trying to find a direction and say, well, whoa, I like what that cat is doing. I'm digging that. Let me approach it a little bit like that. And I think that's what we have to do. That's what we do,
Brother, allow me to actually echo what you just said and put you right there amongst the names that you've just mentioned, because we were just talking about it, where we are trying to compartmentalize people based on their supposed accolades in their, predefined realms of activity.
Right.
But just like you said, you did not expect me to deliver the record that I delivered with the Virgil Abloh, because my work from the house music scene and the Afros and all these things. Yeah. And it's like, okay, that is the whole point. And so what you do is disruptive. You brought a completely new perspective on how, first of all, fashion must look at men and men of age. Classic men. Look, you single-handedly brought that. I mean, I'm not an expert in the fashion world, but I can recognize with a little bit of knowledge that I have your contribution, and I'm sorry, brother, but you are not to be forgotten within that picture and that realm, because your contribution is absolutely priceless, and it must be going down in history as high and as relevant and as important and as what all these other guys are doing. And that's why I'm really blessed and honored to call you big brother and to have these conversations with you, and to count you also as somebody who supports and elevate my work with words of wisdom, because people don't know, and that's why I wanted us to have this quick conversation. People don't know that you've also been part of the music industry. You've been part of the record industry.
Yes.
And I believe maybe you can drop a couple of words about that segment of your life, maybe.
Well, ironically, too, I mean, we just lost a couple of days ago one of my mentors, Andre Harrell, who started Uptown Records. Rest in peace to brother Andre. Good brother. We were the same age. I'm 59. Yeah. Andre was 59, and I loved him dearly. Andre always, was a kind, considerate person and a visionary. He changed the landscape. I mean, coming into the late 80s, he had the bravery and the eye and the ear to, come with a new sound, bring in someone like Teddy Riley, someone like Al B. Sure, hire someone like Puckett, yeah, I mean, and he changed the game. And so he was one of the first people to recognize me when I moved from Chicago to New York. I met Russell Simmons first. That was part of that downtown scene. And Russell was more downtown, whereas Andre was strictly uptown. But Russell used to bring Andre downtown, and that's how I met Andre. And the story goes that a girl that I grew up with in Chicago was actually dating Russell at the time. So that's how I got to meet Russell. And Russell and I started hanging out, and because I just loved music, never had the ambition to work in the music business. I just wanted to be around people that made music because I loved it so much. And so as a result, I started, I met Run DMC, LL Cool J, the list goes on and on and on, Public Enemy, everybody. And I was working at a nightclub at the time, working sort of as door guy / security. It was the 80s, so it was all about your look and your vibe. Yes. They wanted you in the front, so I was always in the front. And so very, very fast, I became known and recognized in New York and downtown because I was working at one of the hottest clubs, and it was very hard to get in this club. And so,
which club was it, if you don't mind us asking?
Say again.
Which club was it, if you don't mind us asking?
Oh, it was called Nels. It was sort of a post Studio 54, sort of a small members only club, a bit like Soho House, you know, a bit like you know, members private, that kind of thing. But you know, if they had a hip hop night, they had a house night, they had, you know, it was the happening spot in New York. And Russell used to come, and then he brought Andre. And after one night of us hanging out, my girl I grew up with that dated Russell, she said they were in the car, and Andre asked Russell, like, who was that guy, Lono Brazil? That dude is fly. Like, we need to do something with him. That was his thought. You know, he just thought we need to do something with him, and not even knowing what I did. You know, just thinking whatever that guy wants to do, we should get behind it. And so Russell was a little reluctant at first. He didn't pull the trigger because I actually spent more time with Russell. I was at his office every day. We go out every night. I'd go to the studio with him. So I met Curtis Blow, and I mean, just everybody. Everything that was happening with Russell between like 87 to 89, I was pretty much around. And met everybody in the music industry. And so what happened was then Andre, like I said, asked Russell, you know, what was the deal with me, and we should do something. And so Russell didn't really react to it. And then a week or so later, I get a phone call, and it's Andre Harrell. He called me and he said, I want you to do a party for me for Heavy D's record. His record went gold. And so he said, I want you to do a gold celebration party. You just invite your people, you do your thing. I want you in charge of that. And I remember saying to him, he was like, how much you think it'd cost? Now, mind you, I wasn't giving parties then. I had done a few parties in Chicago, like some underground house things, you know, sort of loft parties and things like that. But that was a very small audience. That wasn't even big in Chicago. So when I moved to New York, I'd all but left that behind. So, but what happened was Andre just thought I should be the guy that hosts and organized the party. You know, he wanted my flavor involved. And that was just him being a visionary. And so the funny story about that story is that he said, how much do you think that'll cost? And I said, probably about $30,000. And he started writing the check. I'm like, I mean, $50,000, because, you know, he didn't even hesitate. I just threw a number out there, and he wrote the check. And we ended up doing a couple other parties, and subsequently I became the party guy in New York. I ended up doing all the Def Jam parties, Tommy Boy parties, Jive Records parties. I did parties for Levert and Sylvia Rohn. I mean, it went out of control.
Wow.
And so as a result, I ended up going around the world and I started doing stuff in London. I started doing stuff in Japan. This is like 1990 by then. And as a result, I started traveling around the world and ended up in Los Angeles, and was just hanging out, running into some friends down with the Hollis crew, Run DMC's crew, a cat named Hurricane, DJ Hurricane. I don't know if you know him.
No.
But he was Hurricane was he was in his own group. They had a group called the Afros. They were in another group he was in, and he was a solo artist. He was also the DJ for the Beastie Boys. So what happened was we happened to be hanging out at a party in in LA, and he was like, yo, come by the studio. I go by the studio, we hanging out, he's making a record, you know, Beastie Boys are making records, all these cats from the LA scene are coming through. So now I'm in the middle of the LA scene, full stop. And was back and forth between New York and LA, and then Adam Yout from the Beastie Boys pulled me to the side and was like, yo, you know, we're at Capitol Records now, EMI Records, and you should come over and work at the label. And I thought, well, I've never worked at a label, and especially a major label, and I had no ambition to do that. The same way I had no ambition to do parties, Andre Harrell pulled me into the party business. I had no intentions or ambition to work in the music industry.
Right
and
on.
Adam Yout, God bless him, R.I.P., he asked me, was I interested? And I was like, nah. And then a few other people asked me, like, man, you should check this out. The Beasties wanted somebody in the label that spoke their language. Capitol being a big major label, my Big Machine. You know, they had Hammer, they had Garth Brooks, they had Tina Turner, they had you know, the biggest names you can think of. They knew nothing about hip hop, and so you know, and I was still a house dude. But I guess everyone knew I had flavor and dig my vibe and my energy.
That's right.
It was like, we just want flavor. Can you give us flavor? And
we want that juice.
You want that juice, man. You know. And like I said, you know, Andre Harrell being one of the first to recognize that, he was the king of the juice. You know what I mean? For us, and so you know, I took the job, and that changed my life. As a result, you know, I signed a couple of groups. I was doing marketing and artist development, but I was able to and instrumental in helping bring in groups. But we ended up bringing the Beastie Boys back to their status, because they had a few records that kind of, you know, didn't do anything. Through some of my efforts and ideas, we got, you know, double platinum. And yeah, I ended up finding a rapper named Foxy Brown, if you know, a female rapper. Yes, I found Foxy
That's what
Brown.
I said. You have to drop the science, brother Lono.
Yeah.
Yo,
But
you're talking about legends. Yeah.
And for me,
low key,
I mean,
what?
But to be honest, Bodie, that for me is like just, you know, part of this journey that I'm on, that I'm still on, that I don't discount it or downplay it. I mean, it was magnificent, it was incredible, it was life changing. But you know, I feel like, you know, she was a star regardless. You know what I mean? Like I was just instrumental in taking her through the channels to get her where she got signed. Her first deal was with a major label, and after we got her, then everyone around me, Russell Simmons, Puffy, and all of them found out about her and stole her away from me. And you know, that's the long story.
Did you guys release Foxy's first album with?
We never even got to release it.
Oh, you never got.
I was in talks with, yeah, I was in the talks with the RZA, with Premier, with all these guys to put a record together. I was going to duplicate. My attempt was to duplicate what Search and Faith Newman did with Nas, by getting all these different producers and putting a cohesive album together, even though it was different producers, which people didn't really do. You know, it was like you get one sound, one producer, and they do the whole album. Yeah. Nas, his first record, I think, is a masterpiece, and they used, you know, all the names. And I was trying to do that with Ingra's her name. I was trying to do that with Foxy, and Russell and Puff found out, and they stole her away, and the label didn't understand my vision, so they didn't fight for her, so we lost her. But yeah, I mean, you know, and I walked away from the music business just because I saw the writing on the wall. I saw the changes coming, and the corporate aspect of it. You know, it wasn't also, for me, it wasn't artist focused. It was more money focused. And I've never been that arrested development of creativity. And so I couldn't co-sign on selling out my artist friends that believed in me and I was bringing in. You know, I had a relationship with a rapper named KRS-One, Boogie Down Productions. So I was instrumental in. You ever heard of a group called? I'm not name dropping. These are facts. Man.
No,
these are facts.
Brother Lono, man. Yo, actually, let me tell the people tuning in with us now, and those who will be watching this video later on. Brother Lono Brazil is the most humble man you can encounter. That's why I know that him telling the stories because of me, but I know you're not very vocal about this thing. So I'm very humble.
Well, this is me and you talking. The fact that this
that's exactly. It's like, you know, we having this
conversation to my brother, you know.
Yes, I know, bro. That's what I'm saying. It's very unique because you don't vocalize these things necessarily. Because as you said, you're moving on to the next thing, and you know. Let's say continue, brother, please. KRS-One.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really been the sort of like way my life has gone. You know, I just kind of traveled through this journey we call life, and along the way, I've sort of done this sort of Forrest Gump kind of a thing, you know, where I just end up in the right places at the right time through my instinct. And I think, honestly, good things happen to good people. I just try to be good with everybody, man. And You know, I've left a lot of money on the table in my life because I wasn't willing to take advantage of people who I believed in, who believed in me. And where I come from, all you got is your honor and your code, you know,
Amen.
and
Amen.
and your balls. And I don't break
Right
my
on.
balls for nobody.
You don't
All
show
my
your butt
word.
to nobody. You're like, yep.
Nobody. Speaking the immortal words of Tony Montana in Scarface, yeah. But yeah, so through KRS-One, I was able to instrumental in helping bring in a group called Channel Live. They had a song called Madism. Look that record up, and even in the record, KRS-One gives me a shout out. Chris and I, you know, met years ago prior to my record label days. But yeah, we were doing some amazing things. But the record label, and you know, I signed an agreement that I wouldn't say anything bad about the label, so I'm going to be careful and choose my words. But let's just say, for this conversation and for the sake of legality, we didn't see eye to eye on how we wanted to do what we did. You know what I mean? So I chose to walk away from it and lend myself to more of the independent element of the music business, where it's more artist focused. And this is in the late 90s I'm talking about, and looking at now how the playing field is so even, and the major labels don't really have the stronghold they used to have, whereas now the technology allows, you know, independent artists to make a voice and have a name without being exploited financially or otherwise. And so that part is what I was an advocate for, and the reason why I walked away from the music business. Yeah, you know, after that, I ended up just moving around, and the long and short of it is, 5 years ago, friends of mine kept saying to me, I should be a model. And I thought, I'm not going to turn 50 something years old and start thinking about modeling. I just thought it was a ridiculous idea to some degree, because I hadn't seen any man of color doing the caliber of work that I felt like I would have to do in order to even consider doing this as a career. And what I mean by that, if I'm not on the level, I'm not going to waste my time. You know,
I understand.
In this case, you know, I allow people to exploit my image for the sake of selling whatever, you know, clothing, garments they have. And that's a really, really lucrative business for some of these brands. And so I know where I want to stand in that process. And let me just say this too real quick, and this has been a philosophy that I picked up, you know, back in the 80s. It was a saying that we used to have back in the 80s. It was about having your pride and your dignity. And something a phrase Malcolm X coined was no sellout. And no sellout means, you know, you're not going to do what you do, sell everybody out just to make money and do anything regardless of what it is. That's selling out. And I've never believed in that. And that's the reason why I left money on the table. But now in 2020, or when I started doing this, I made a decision that I wasn't going to sell out. I was going to excel out.
Thank you very much.
You dig what I'm saying?
Thank you very much.
And so what we need to do now is we need to learn how to monetize and look at the economics of what we do, because if we don't, there are those that, because of the technology and the way information travels so fast, you can have a great idea. It can go online today. Someone else can take it and monetize it faster than you can blink your eye if you're not savvy with your ideals about how to approach the business and look at the playing field now. You dig what I'm saying? So we are now in the season of excelling out. So there's nothing wrong with collaborating with major corporations or major brands that will otherwise exploit what you do, homogenize it, bastardize it, and do something that is somewhat like you, but
it's not you.
Not even a reasonable facsimile.
Yeah.
But to the public, they're thinking, well, this is the shit. It got that juice. It looked like it got that juice. That looked like Bodie's juice. I'm in it. And it'll be some fake shit. Pardon my French. Pardon.
By all means, brother, please, we can, because the whole conversation, and I love that you tapped upon that very specific topic, brother, because, you know, as a little brother to you, I can tell you that I'm at the stage where I'm getting close to my 40s and I'm tired. I'm not tired of making music, and I'm not tired of DJing as far as the art of DJing, but I'm tired of the business and the politics and the lack of a word the lack of commitment. It's like, look, this is what we're going to do. Let's do it. Let's act upon the words that we formulated and verbalized. And it's like, you saying that and saying how you moved away from big checks and, you know, because of maintaining a set of values up to a certain standard. I believe, and I had a conversation with one of my good friend Keisha, and both of us felt like, you know, most of the time we were not understood by our peers and people within our industries, because either we are too far ahead.
That's what it is.
That's what it was with you as well. You're too far ahead with the vision. You already start seeing things, and it's like people either marginalize you, use your ideas but badly, or they'll do whatever they can because it's not like we're not jealous. We are happy to share the information. But then you're like, hold on now. Every time we're giving the information, y'all taking it and messing it up. If at least you were to do something right with it, cool. But
let me say this, though, brother. First and foremost, don't be no ways tired. Don't stop. Don't pump that juice, man. Keep doing what you do. And let me just say, I am a living testimony that if you hang in there, if you stay on your square, you know, it's gonna take time, but the reward is gonna be great, you know. And that's why I'm saying we are in the climate where now we have to learn to excel out. You know, it may seem like a sellout 25 years ago, but 25 years ago the scene wasn't as developed as it is now. Now you've got DJs making $100,000 a set that can't even strike a match near you. You know what I mean?
True.
But you can't get despondent. You can't let that bother you. More power to him. Let him do what he do. You keep doing what you do on the same level, with the same values, with the same strength, with the same vigor, believing in yourself, staying true to who you are. Trust me. Persistence overcomes resistance. They gotta give in. They will give in. Because let me tell you, I tried to model in my 20s. No one would sign me. No one would even look at me. I knew all the top fashion people. The same people like Andre Harrell that saw something in me, fashion people were coming to that club. They know I had the juice. It was a different time. I was ahead of my time. You know, you were ahead of your time. I mean, you've been setting trends for the last, I've known for at least more than 10 years. I think
it's going to be 20 years next year.
20 years, exactly. So, I mean, and that was groundbreaking. You know, now, you know, you hear, you know, your influence and there's this whole bastardized thing. And then, you know, I feel like brothers like you, if you hadn't set the tone, we would have no South African house music. It wouldn't even exist because no one would even have an ear for that. It would be too African, so to speak. When you were doing it, you know what I mean? Now it's the norm. You hear Fela on Ciroc commercials in America.
It's
you know,
crazy,
and
right?
I used to play Fela in LA around Puff and them. No one wanted the dance floor would clear when I would play those nights. A DJ in LA, and I did a radio station. And you know,
now it's like everybody's dropping that on. You know, they listen to that in the stories, and it's like
but it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing because persistence overcomes resistance. And to sort of coin another phrase that was coined was, water seeks its own levels. And you know, you just got to keep going with the flow, and trust me, it's gonna break through. Because the problem with getting sort of despondent and allowing those negative forces to sort of dim your light is that very moment when you decide to turn away and go back, the door opens. You know what I mean? So you just got to keep going in that direction. Keep doing what you're doing.
I mean, I agree with you, brother. Not to cut you in the complete. I think I've gone way too far to turn my back. But the truth is that, you know, and I thank you for the encouragement as well, because, you know, again, you know, you that's what I'm saying. Your success, your accomplishments, the accolades that you've gathered through your life, and the tenacity that you've showcased is testimony of what you're saying, and is great inspiration and actually food for thought for somebody like me who's planning to leave legacy. And that's the body of work, the investments that you've sort of like put into motion through the years until now, and furthermore in the future, will speak long after you're gone, long after I'm gone. And I think that eventually you're right. You know, we just got to keep pushing. But, you know, at times you just like,
Oh yeah.
This is tough. Like,
Yeah.
the legs are getting heavy, and you're starting to feel like the energy. I mean, this past 2 days I've been feeling a little low because I was like, yo, what the fuck am I doing? Okay, where am I going, and what am I doing it for? And that was the question that I had for the past 2 days.
Right.
But
Well, I
this
think
conversation is
also,
bringing back clarity.
but also too, I think like you touched on when we first started speaking, this time right now that we're in is forcing us to look at things in a different through a different lens, in a way that we didn't see ourselves the way we see ourselves now, dealing with the idea of all this uncertainty and not knowing how we're going to be able to proceed and what the future is going to be, and I don't want to touch on my theories about that, but what I will say is that regardless...
Please, brother,
But I think
we share
only
the same theories, so by all means.
But I think only because of this platform, we have to be careful what we say because we don't want it...
we don't want it to go to the... Yeah.
We want to offend anybody because everybody's allowed to have their own opinion.
Everybody gets too sensitive, but I put them out of the chat and my pages, they start getting
right.
funny.
But what I was going to say was that, the thing is that these times are the times that will define us. This is the definition of who we really are as men will come into focus because, where I come from is focus or fold. If you can't go to battle, then surrender and walk away. But, like I said, all this uncertainty and not knowing, what's going to happen, it'll throw anybody off. But the truth is that if we stay focused on what our goals are and what our purpose is, I know for a fact because I've been through tough times like this. Throughout my life, I've had these little intervals where things got really, really challenging, and most people around me just tapped out. Something inside me said, no, if you just keep going and keep fighting, you're stronger than the circumstances, because we can't control the things that go on around us, but we can control our reaction to the things that go on around us. And that's the key. How you react to it is everything. Regardless of what people do to me, I mean, people have stole my ideas, have taken things from me, and, whatever it is. I still don't carry any animosity towards that because I feel like, one, they didn't get the best of me yet. I'm still 100%. Looking in the future. Like your best work is still coming. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's yet to come.
You got to keep, as long as you keep challenging yourself, you're going to keep raising that bar. But again, I think the key is we have to now put in our minds that we are going to excel out instead of selling out.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about, man. We have to learn new things and new ways to monetize and look at the economics of what it is we do, and stay steadfast in our focus on what our goal is, what we like to accomplish, keeping our values aligned with that, and then going straight in that line. And the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Just stay on the path. You know what I mean?
100%, brother.
We're gonna get there.
We're gonna get there, brother. You're very right. And I have to say there's one thing that I'm thankful of, and I believe we've had this conversation before when you were visiting us here in Portugal. That genuine spirit, that sense of sharing has never died, as far as I'm concerned. And I would say the tiredness is more related towards the certainty of this business that we're in. And this COVID-19 has really exposed that in a very brutal and disruptive way, such that in a beautiful yet very uncomfortable way, it's forcing us to see, well, a reality. We have a very unstable business, and we need to find ways and means to come out of this without losing too much. Yet that conversation with self and with kindred spirits like yourself and others sort of like reinforces, as you just stated, the idea of staying in your square and just keep on pushing, because eventually we're going to come out of this. And if we start giving up now, right in the thick of it, how are we going to have the courage to look in the mirror after that?
That's my point. That's my point. And I mean, and someone said, I read this somewhere, Nelson Mandela stayed in isolation for 28 years and came out and became the president of South Africa. So,
yeah.
I mean, if that don't inspire you and give you the juice you need to keep pushing, then I don't know what will, man. When I thought of that, I thought, okay, I've only been locked down for 45 days, and I live on the beach. I can walk to the beach day or night, you know. So I'm fortunate. So that's what I'm saying. You know, for me, I don't complain. I never complain. You know, I stay looking at the positive, and rather than focusing on, another reason why I don't really talk about the things that I've done is because I don't use my subconscious. I try to impress upon my subconscious things that I'm looking forward to. So rather than use my subconscious as a record of the past, I'm trying to use it as a map, a roadmap for the future.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
You know what
Amen.
I mean? Because we got to always keep looking ahead. I have children. I'm thinking way after I'm gone, how far they can go through the things that I'm doing today.
Yes,
so
sir.
there's a lot of people that are counting on me not to give up. They don't know they are. I know they are. They don't think they are. They don't put any pressure on me. But it's a lot of people that want you to do what it is you do. There's a lot of people that appreciate what it is you do. And if it is just one person and that you can touch that person's life, that alone is enough. You know what I mean? I had no idea that some of the things I would do would impress or reach people in places that it has. You know, I get messages from people saying I inspire them and they want to be a model and this and that, and I think it's beautiful. You know, I'm actually even writing a book called How to Become a Male Model Even at the Age of 50, which is more a story about how I got where I am and what my life has kind of been like, and less about what it takes to be a model, because to be honest with you, I don't think anybody really knows that, because like the music business, Leo Cohen told me this one time. He said, if we could predict what a hit record is, you know, we'd all be millionaires, or all of us that make records, because everyone would use that same formula. And people subconsciously do that. If a record is a hit, they usually try to copy that record because they want to make a hit and forget about what their creativity is and what their style is or what their vibe is, you know. But it's hard to predict that because that may or may not work. So I feel like if you do what you do for the sake of what's in your heart, for the desire to express yourself creatively, to offer to everyone, to accept your gift, and if they appreciate it, that's a gift to you. There is a gift in giving. You know, the fact that you are giving something to the world, the gift to you is our appreciation, our love, and our admiration for it. So that alone is priceless.
It is. You
know, but again, the economics of how the world works is someone's going to make some money off of it if you don't. So you got to find that delicate balance between creativity. It might be I'm getting a cutoff note.
No problem. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, so I mean, finding that delicate balance between understanding what our values are, what our standards that we've set, who we are and what it is we do, and then being able to look at that at the extent of saying, okay, this is what it's worth. This is what it's worth to me. This is what you're going to have to pay me. If you don't, sorry, no ill feelings, thank you. And trust me, I mean, that's something that I've learned from as a model. I mean, there's not to be too explicit, but there are clients that want to hire me that I can't work for because they can't afford me, because I've worked so hard and has developed what I am now to this point where this is who I am. I didn't come in like this, but I'm here now, and I'm trying to get further. I'm trying to get to a highest point that's possible, because it's allowed, you know, and there is no compromise by me on any level. I'm just going to excel out, you know, and like you said, I'm trying to leave a legacy, not just memories.
Baba Lono, hey, you dropped some science on us. And there's something I would like to add to what you just said. I believe that not only the legacy that you will leave is beyond material means, your children, your sons, and the values that your daughter, of course, the values that you've given them, the value that you know their mothers have given them, and how how they will carry those values as they become themselves parents or whatever they may choose to be.
Absolutely.
This is exactly the legacy we are talking about,
100%.
which is beyond any means that we may consider what will maintain you eternal.
Right. Absolutely.
Because interestingly enough, through this phase, brother, I've been thinking about my mortality even more so. Not saying that I'm not in a morbid way at all. I'm not looking at it in a negative way, but it's like I understand that I need to redefine the purpose all the time in order to really stay sharp, as you just mentioned, and not allow myself to fall too easily into certain traps. Because, as you mentioned, we are not here to live memories. We're not here to live memories.
Right.
We're here to really leave a legacy behind. And I would like to add, I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Who's that?
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh, yes, of course. I actually used one of his quotes. The quote about using your brain not as a record of the past, but a roadmap to the future. That comes from him. Exactement.
So in that regard, I wanted to maybe if you could give us maybe 3 or 4 minutes of your time just to expose a little bit of the vision of this doctor whom I've discovered just a couple of months ago, but I've been edified and absolutely astonished at the body of miracles that his work have really brought upon people's lives. As far as the genetic changes that happen, people who, I mean, what we may say would be very disruptive, but it is a reality. There are things that we cause upon ourselves because of the way we set our minds to think and believe. May you maybe give us a little bit of your recipe of youth?
Absolutely. Well, like he said, and a number of other people like him have said that deal with this whole existential law of attraction, PMA thing, positive mental attitude, is that the brain is the strongest muscle we have in our body. Your brain can change everything. It can change completely the whole structure of I mean, every 3 months our body tries to regenerate itself. So through brain power, you can actually change anything. You can heal yourself. You can create anything, even something that had never existed before in the universe. Your connection to your brain power and tapping into your subconscious allows you to be able to reach to the power of the universe and bring back something that has never, ever been created. And that's quite remarkable. And so it goes back to what we've been talking about too, about, you know, staying on course and believing in who you are and staying steadfast to what you're doing. It really comes down to the mind power. The mind power is the strongest power that we have, and that's our connection to the eternal and to the all in all and to everything in existence. So through our brain power, we can overcome and deal with anything that's happened. And then collective consciousness, the fact that we're having this conversation and we both are aware of Joe Dispenza, and there's a lot of people that may become aware after this conversation or already aware, that's called collective consciousness. And what that's going to do is create a groundswell that's going to allow us to move through this difficulty or this thing that supposedly is scary and, you know, they thought we're going to kill everybody. You know, it's not, because I believe that we have the power in our mind to reverse all of that. You know, we have the power in our mind to fight against viruses and illnesses and, you know, all these other things that exist in this space. And 100%. So the one thing that I take with me every day, I start my day with meditation. I set my intention, and I, rather than focus on what could go wrong, I focus on what I want to go right. And that alone has a calming effect and has a way of settling you down and allowing you to sort of maneuver and look at the landscape and be able to select what you want to do and how you want to do it. But it comes with the mind power. So, you know, it's all about mind power. And I suggest that anybody that wants to learn more about mind power checks out Dr. Joe Dispenza, because he's actually he's a revolutionary, man. He's changing the game right now.
He's definitely
100%.
And I'm glad you emphasized on that so beautifully, because I've been telling people about Joe Dispenza, you know, who and anyone alike, about this body of work that is there, and these gifts that our bodies, as you mentioned, they are profoundly, beautifully designed machines
It
to
is.
self-heal, to just
Well,
and we keep putting chemicals in our bodies, thinking that these external solutions will actually bring healthiness, and it's not.
no, that's exactly right, and it made me think for a moment, like, yeah, because I've gone into like fasting and changing my diet and using homeopathic things, because during this time of year I always get allergies, and so my allergies have been acting up, and rather than take allergy medicine and antibiotics, which do nothing but exacerbate the problem, I got into homeopathic, into herbs and stuff like that, and some ancient African herbal type things, and man, it's incredible. But also it comes with the consciousness, because my body has an internal mechanism, my immune system, that's working every day trying to keep me alive, and putting that poison in your body is fighting against the thing that's trying to keep you alive. And so if we learn to treat our bodies in a certain way and then develop our mind power, we can do and endure and change and have anything.
Thank you very much.
And that's
Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much.
Yeah.
Brother Lono, merci beaucoup. I thank you for your time. I know you're a very busy man, and I really appreciate you accepting this invitation to this impromptu live. And,
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing your light and your wisdom, your life experience.
Anytime for you.
The dreams, and I appreciate you for that, my big brother. I love
right,
you.
let's speak soon.
I honor you, my king. We speak soon indeed. Very, very soon. My regards to your family.
All right.
Bless indeed. Blessings.
All right.
Peace.
Cool.
Yes, indeed. The legendary Lono Brazil in the building. It has been a fantastic conversation with a living legend. As I said, please, let's honor our legends. And legends come in so many different ways and shapes and forms, from backgrounds, etc. We may not be aware. You don't know who the next person next to you has accomplished. Let's honor one another. Even it doesn't have to be anything, crazy. We cannot undermine even the littlest of action that is done towards greatness and towards good. That must be acknowledged, And it also is a manifesto that greatness doesn't have to be cocky. We've just had the proof here was a man who has had and still has a life that is so full of so much greatness that he could actually be he could afford to be cocky and look down and talk down on people, but he doesn't. And this is how I respect, and why it makes me respect someone like the big brother Lono Brazil and many others who I have around me, who are close to my heart. Humble as it gets. Not about some cocky bullshit because you had one hit shit or whatever, fuck are you talking about? We're talking a body of work here. We're talking about a lifetime given to try to build and bring greatness in people's lives. Selflessness in so many ways. But then you have a bunch of little punks who come and try to be, I don't know, bring about some nonsense. And nobody got time for that. And I really hope that this conversation with the living legend, Mr. Lono Brazil himself, and the many others that I'm going to have in the future, as I'm going to invite some of my big brothers to join me on these conversations about, how to look after ourselves, well-being, business, etc., will impact each and every one of us with some positivity. No, I don't have anybody in mind. I have all the people who are not, whom I've encountered or who I am yet to encounter. But the thing is that, those people usually don't try to get too close to me because they know that very quickly I don't take no bullshit because I'm straightforward, And I'm so thankful for Brother Lono for bringing me that light as well of inspiration and reminding me to stay on my square and just, echo as well another thing that the big brother Rich Medina said, who I'm going to have a conversation with very soon. Rich Medina said to me something one time. He said, you got to know your weight category. because Rich Medina and I, we have one thing, besides the music and the respect we have for one another, we have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in common. And I'm a heavyweight in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, martial art form. And he says, you can't forget about your weight category. You can't forget where you belong, and work that corner. Just like Brother Lono Brazil said, by stick to your square, work it, stay true to your vibes, stay true to who you are. It's hard. It gets very fucking hard. It gets challenging. You want to give up, but you know what? You gotta excel out. You have to manifest it. I'm telling you, this shit is real. And it's profoundly important for us to be reminded about these things. Make sure you go check out Dr. Joe Dispenza. You will thank me later. If you're open to understanding that your mind has an infinite power of providing healing, but as much as also polluting you if you don't feed it with the right thoughts and ideas. We are our own cure, as well as we are our own enemies. Look within and find the answers within. Let's always look at emancipating ourselves from negativity. With that being said, it was beautiful having these conversations with you, being there, and blessings to you all. And yes, see you tomorrow for Quarantine Grooves 54. Yes, indeed. Quarantine Grooves 54. Thank you, sisters and brothers. I appreciate you and I honor you. And big shout out to people, good people in Morocco and everywhere else around the world for tuning in. All right, family. See you tomorrow. Quarantine Grooves 54 here on Instagram live. All right. Blessings indeed.